All right, FightHype.com. Sean Zattel here with Kevin Barry, trainer of Joseph Parker. Kevin, now that we've had a few months to assess it, how do you feel looking back on the fight with Dillian Whyte?
Tough fight, tough physical fight, Sean. A fight that Joe learned a lot in. You know, it's a fight that we took on short notice. We had a 5-week camp here in Vegas, and we knew that we were really rolling the dice. The upside for us, if we'd got the win in that fight, was that we'd be on the short list to fight Anthony Joshua in a rematch in April of 2019. So, you know, we gambled, and we come up a little short. We went into the fight very, very confident. Joe was in good shape. The first 2 rounds of the fight, I believe, you know, Joe was winning very easy and was having his way with Dillian Whyte. And then we had an incident where Whyte came in, headbutted Joe to the cerebellum, and changed the whole fight. You know, Joe went from a position of power where he was controlling the fight. His hands were high. He was feeling really good. I was feeling good in the corner. I'm looking at my man thinking he's doing everything that we trained to do, everything that we prepared in training camp. It's all working out nicely. And then we caught that clash headbutt behind the ear, and everything changed. You know, Joe was concussed for the rest of the fight. Had no control of the distance, was standing in the pocket, dropping his hands, it became a very, very hard physical fight after that.
Now, you said heading into that fight that when Joe when he lives out his potential, he's the best heavyweight in the division. Did you feel like before the headbutt, he was doing what you wanted him to do, that he was on his way to winning the fight with Dillian Whyte?
Oh, 100%. I thought he looked fantastic in the first 2 rounds, and I couldn't have been happier with my man. You know, Joe came back after the first round, and I said, mate, you're seeing everything. You can, you know, he felt like Dillian Whyte was in slow motion. He was in total control. And the same thing was there in the second round. And right before the headbutt, Joe had just hit him with 3 2-punch combinations, and it was almost like Joe was doing whatever he wanted to do. And of course, after that, it was a different fight. You know, Dillian realized he knew it wasn't a punch. You know, as soon as the referee started counting, Dillian's walking back to the neutral corner, touching his head, looking to see if he had cut himself. So he knew he had used his head. It was just unfortunate the referee never saw it. You know, it's a round that was an easy 10-9 round to us, became a 10-8 round for Dillian Whyte. And from then on in, it was very, very tough.
Despite the loss, there was a lot of questions about Joe heading into that fight about does he push the gas enough? Does he put his foot on the gas enough in these fights, or is he a little too cautious? Did you feel like by getting the knockdown the last round, do you feel he showed that he can reach down and he will put his foot on the gas in a tough fight, or do you think he answered questions about that?
Oh, look, I think right from the beginning of the first round, when a lot of people thought that Joe would move and box and try and wear Dillian down, Joe had already publicly said, I'm going to knock him out. You know, he's not going to look for me. You know, Whyte said, don't bring your running shoes, and Joe was saying, I'm going to be there. And right from the first bell, Joe was there. He was engaging. He was in the pocket. He was using his hand speed. He was out punching and out hustling Dillian Whyte. You know, so and I think even as the fight went on and Dillian employed some very, very rough tactics. That is Dillian Whyte. You know, these are the fights he fights. You know, he hits in the back of the head, he hits low, he choked Joe a couple of times, he had Joe off the floor with his feet up in the air at one stage, nearly threw him over the top rope. But this is, you know, these are the tactics that make Dillian Whyte the dangerous fighter that he is. But Joe sucked all that up, and right at the end where we knew we needed a knockout to win, Joe came back with huge character, huge grit and determination. Had Dillian out on his feet at the end of the 11th round, had him out 2 or 3 times in the 12th, had him down just before the end of the round, and was 1 punch away from winning by knockout. So it was a back and forth fight that was received very, very well by the fans. They booed us to the ring, they cheered us out of the ring. I think both fighters got the respect of each other, and I think it's a fight that moving forward the boxing fans want to see again. It was an exciting, hard, very powerful heavyweight fight.
Where do you think your fighter is mentally after no longer having the spotless record he began the year with?
Well, Joe's, look, it's no secret, we're coming off two losses, 2 hard losses, one against the number one, so-called number 1 ranked fighter in the world, Anthony Joshua, who Joe lost his world title to back in March. But in a fight that, Joe's movement and Joe's speed in that fight made things very, very difficult for Joshua. And Joshua, by no means of the imagination, had his way with Joe. In fact, Joshua hardly hit Joe in the fight. And Joshua, fighting everyone else, has been able to knock them all out. So, there were pluses and minuses. Obviously, losing the belt was something that was very, very tough for us. Hence, Joe said we had the opportunity to take a couple of easy layup fights after the Joshua fight, and Joe goes, I want to get back there. I know I can do so much better than that. There are things in that fight that I should have done better. And so, he's the leader of our team. He's the one that said, when the Dillian Whyte fight was a possibility, Joe said, let's go. Let's take Whyte, because we were told that the winner of that fight would be on the short list to fight Joshua in April of 2019. So, he trained very hard, but it was always going to be a big ask. We had a 5-week camp in Las Vegas. Joe in that fight won a lot of fans. The Dillian Whyte fight was a tough fight, a physical fight, a fight that Joe found himself on the canvas for the first time in his career. So the story about Joe never being down, well, now he's been down. But the way that he has come back, a lot of people were questioning Joe's hunger. They were questioning his character. He is training with more ferocity now than I believe than any stage in his career. Like, we've got a fight coming up against Alexander Flores in Christchurch, New Zealand on December 15. A fight where Joseph Parker is fighting for his career. We're coming off back-to-back losses, a position we've never ever been in before. Joe knows that we must not only win this fight, we must win this fight in a very good fashion. And he is training with such determination, such focus at the moment. As much determination as I've ever seen in the 6 years that him and I've been together.
In today's boxing, where so many fighters take a prolonged break, even after they win a fight, why are you and Joe so eager to jump right back in the ring for your 3rd fight of the year, just months after the Dillian Whyte fight? Why get back in there so quickly?
Well, as we progressed Joe through the ranks, Joe was used to fighting 5 times a year. 3 years in a row we fought 5 times a year. So for us to fight 3 times, it's not such a big thing. Admittedly, they're very, very big fights, but it's very important for us. In a year that a lot has happened. We've found ourselves in one of the biggest fights in the world, the Joshua fight, in front of 80,000 people, sold to 140 countries around the world. Joe lost his belt, but then we went straight into another big fight, another pay-per-view fight, the O2 Arena against Dillian Whyte. Came up short again. It's very important for us that that we finish the year with a good, solid win. We need to get a W in 2018 so that we can start 2019 with a win behind us, and we regroup and a new focus and new challenges ahead of us. We're excited about that. We're using these 2 losses as positive motivation. We've been We've been to the pinnacle of the sport. You know, Joe has been to the mountaintop. He's become world champion. He defended the title twice. He lost it to the so-called number one guy. He knows what it takes to get there. You know, it was very, very sweet for us to become world champion. But, you know, for us to work our way back there for a second time is going to be even sweeter. And for Joe, our team, and our fans and supporters who support Joseph Parker, it's going to be an even sweeter experience when we fight our way back there.
Do you think it would be even better? Do you think it would be better for boxing if more fighters had an approach that you and Joe had this year, where you have the world title, but you didn't milk it. You didn't sit on it and take what people would consider easy fights. You jumped in there, fought the best. Do you think boxing would benefit more from that kind of approach?
Well, you know, we always knew that, you know, boxing is a business, you know, and we also knew that we had a very exciting talent, a very special talent in Joseph Parker. And our job as a team, from the promoter, from the management, to the trainer, to the fighter, is to maximize the potential of Joseph Parker, and we believe that we did that, you know, by fighting in, you know, one of the biggest fights in the world this year. I can't speak for other people, but, you know, for us, it's always been about fighting the best, getting to the top, challenging yourself, putting yourself against the best fighters who are out there.
Do you think Joe knocks Alexander Flores out, or is he going to be taking his time, trying to, you know, work his way back into the swing of things? Or what do you think?
Well, you know, this is a fight where all the pressure in this fight is on Joseph Parker. You know, we're fighting a guy, Alexander Flores, 17-1, 15 KOs, a guy who, he's not an Anthony Joshua, and he's not a Dillian Whyte, and he's never fought the caliber of opponents that Joseph Parker has fought. But one thing that he does have is, we know he's a good puncher. He's got a bunch of knockouts. He's a big guy, and he's a young guy. He's the same age as Joe. Now, he knows that this is his chance. You know, if he can fight his best fight and possibly get up and beat Joseph Parker, it's going to open a lot of doors for him. So, you know, we're fighting a fighter who has nothing to lose. All the pressure is on Joe in this fight, and because of that, you know, this makes it a very dangerous fight for us, and a fight that not only do we have to win, but, you know, we need to win in impressive fashion. The greatest thing for us is that this fight falls back in New Zealand. You know, Joe has an enormous amount of support in New Zealand. He is New Zealand's fighter. The fact that we had gone all the way to the world title from New Zealand, winning the world title in New Zealand, for us now coming off back-to-back losses, it's a huge confidence boost for us to be back fighting in front of the New Zealand fans, and this is something that we feel really excited about. It's going to take a very good fighter to beat Joe in New Zealand.
Do you want the knockout though, Kevin?
Oh, we want the knockout badly. You know, Joe hasn't had a knockout for a couple of years. We came very close with Dillian Whyte. You know, our emphasis in this particular training camp is on power and strength. And, you know, I'm seeing some tremendous results in the strength and conditioning work at the moment. I've added a lot of extra power rounds in our boxing workout, and I believe that on December 15th we'll see the strongest, most powerful Joseph Parker that there has been in the last 6 years.